What's up, guys? Today we're talking about your cleanup crew. What's up, guys? JC here with the Salty Cherry Reefing channel. Welcome back to this video. I'm going to be diving a little bit more into the cleanup crew here in today's video. I just got a little bit of a cleanup crew put into this tank. I didn't go too big with it just because it is pretty clean at the moment. Not a lot of stuff's in there outside of the two clowns, so I will be getting some more as we go. But I got a good little variety of things to start with. I would say probably the most focused on was just the sand bed and what I was picking out for that. But I'm going to get right into it and kind of share some of those things I got with you guys today. So starting off getting the cleanup crew home, I went ahead and put them in the sump to acclimate via temperature. I left them in there for about 15 minutes to basically to match temp, and then after that I didn't do anything super crazy with the acclimation. I basically took half their water in a dish and half of my aquarium water and left them in there for about 30 more minutes, and then after that I just picked up the individual cleanup crewmates and just dropped them in the tank. And it was a pretty simple process. Invertebrates tend to be a little bit more finicky, especially starfish, when it comes to parameters within your tank. So you just want to make sure you have stable parameters if you're going to be getting anything like a sand sifting starfish. But for most of the part, the rest of the guys, you shouldn't have too many things to worry about. So I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about why I chose the tank mates I picked for this. There's plenty of other good options out there. Part of it was the local store I went to didn't have all the things I was looking for. I was looking to get a couple turbo snails in here, but I instead went with a couple detritus snails to clean the rock. They're not as much in the sand bed. They're more going to be on glass in your rock. They are a pair of snails that if they do fall over, they are going to have a hard time turning themselves back upright. So you do want to make sure that if you do see them laying down on the sand bed, to make sure to help flip them over if you notice that they're there for a little bit. So got a couple detritus snails. I got a good handful, I think it's half dozen to a dozen blue-legged hermit crabs. They're pretty small, the ones at least I got. So I'm hoping they're going to help with the rock and the sand and the mix of that. On top of that, I did get a conch that's going to be sifting through the sand. I've had one in the past. They're fun, cool little critters to see working around in a sand bed. I had it in like I want to say it was like a 20-gallon cube or 30-gallon cube in the past, and it didn't have a lot of space in the sand, let's just say that. So I'm excited to see it work around in this tank a little bit more. And since I do have a lot more sand and open space, I also went ahead and got a sand sifting starfish as well. So I've also had one of these in the past as well. They're really cool. They'll come up and down out of the sand occasionally. Sometimes they'll crawl up the side of the glass and they'll float all the way back down to the bottom. But they're cool critters to have in your tank. I didn't have a lot of space in that tank that I did have it in the past. So I'm excited to see it kind of mess around and be in this tank. I could probably have a couple of them, but I just kind of started off with one for the time being. And then to finish off the cleanup crew I got for the time being is I got snails. I've used those in the past as well. They're gonna bury into the sand and help just continue to keep the bottom part of the sand bed clean. You'll see their little antenna sometimes poking out of the sand, or they'll sometimes be on the surface as well. Most of the time they're going to spend their time in the sand bed cleaning and eating detritus and whatnot that's down in there. So I'm mainly focused on that because I know here coming up soon I have a couple more tank mates that I'm going to be adding here that you'll see a video on here probably within the next week and a half, where I'm hoping they're going to be the ones taking care of most of the algae problems if I ever do have any when it comes down to that with the tank, which you're not going to have too many situations when you run a reef tank where you don't have to deal with algae to some capacity. So it's always good to have some people in there that are on your team that are going to help you battle that. But so stay tuned to that when that one comes out. But that's pretty much all I went with for this cleanup crew. I like the starfish. I thought it added some unique personality to the tank, just something new and cool and different to look at. The conch again is something different than a snail. I am probably going to keep my eyes out for some turbos here in the future. just because they're a good all-around snail that are, you know, basically continue to work at the rock and the glass and all that kind of stuff. So, and when I put the detritus snails in there, I put them right on top of the rock, so that way that they basically went right to work. So if you have specific areas that you have, you know, algae problems on, you know, the best thing you can do is put those directly onto those spots. So, but I'm going to keep it nice and simple and short with you today on that one. But that's kind of the cleanup crew I've added here for this tank for the time being. Like I said, I kind of started light. I'm going to probably add more here in the future as this tank continues to grow and we get more things in there. So, but stuck around, appreciate you, and I'll catch you next time.